Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Uh,
Um, yeah,
um,
I'll
yeah,
let you explain it.
this is gonna be a weird one. It's been a hot minute since me and good old Agent Squid have done this. It has been a hot
Yeah.
minute, but we have another what you could say. Well, depending on how you feel about it, it's more of a rant slash discussion video, kind of like what we did with you know, the fucking Xbox user voice stuff way back in the day.
Way back,
Way back in the day.
way
Yeah, way
back
back
in
in the
the
day.
day.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, but we're here now, and I'm kind of playing GTA in the background,
Yeah,
um,
no,
because I'm
I'm
just
playing
kind of chilling.
Resi 8 in the background, having a good old time, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, he's doing his own thing, and I'm kind of doing mine. But we wanted to like me and him. Obviously, we have been best friends for 10 years, and thus, when you have a
Going
friendship
on
that
10
long,
years.
you tend to obviously develop similar opinions. Not necessarily 100%, but obviously yeah. And me and him have been watching videos and shit from like Legacy Killer and them, for example, and we don't agree. Like I personally don't understand why people are losing their fucking minds over the GTA Definitive Edition, which is currently I'm playing the San Andreas Definitive Edition. But I'm kind of just playing this in the background just to kind of do something that's somewhat visually entertaining, um, because the game's fun.
Yeah.
But like me personally, I don't understand why people are losing their fucking shit. Like, for example, like if you watch like a couple of Legacy Killer HD's videos about the definitive edition, it's almost all negative. And and to a point, I do agree with him because if gamers aren't willing to stand up, and call out the bullshit and demand innovation, gaming will never get better. Like with Destiny and with the very first Star Wars Battlefront, that EA did. Like I was among them where I was like, no, this is bullshit. Like broken promises and all kinds of shit, right? So like I am all for, like, if you have a problem, be fucking vocal about it. However, um sometimes people do get vocal over shit that does not need to be vocalized. Like, I don't understand why people are losing their shit over, like for example, like one of the things that is getting memed about is like the Welcome to Vice City billboard that was messed up. And that's funny. That's a really minor error that really, if anything, you should laugh at. Like, especially because they're gonna patch it. Like, that's not something you should be complaining about, because I feel like there's at least some. I'm not saying everyone is, because I feel like a good amount of people are thinking that's more funny than anything. But there are people that are definitely actually doing that, like complaining about it, and that to me is a bit unreasonable. And I don't get why people are losing their fucking shit over like the graphics of GTA and stuff. Not to say that there aren't the occasional bug and glitch, which, considering that it was made by a mobile game developer, that's to be expected. I think, if anything, I'm kind of surprised that it's not as buggy as it is. But I mean, I personally haven't really encountered any bugs yet. Keyword yet, but
Yeah, neither have I.
maybe I'm just lucky then. So again, don't quote me on that. But why the fuck are you guys like losing your fucking shit over like some of the graphics and saying it needs to be comparable to like Legacy Killer, bruh? Like I actually am a fan of your content. I do watch your stuff every now and again. Like I am a fan, and most of the time I agree with you. Actually, like I agree with a lot of the things that you have to say about a lot of your different news stories, but in this case, this is probably one of the very few times that I actually don't. I like saying that like, oh, this should like the game should be better for $60. Like, I'm paraphrasing here because this is more of a, cause I don't like scripts. Like, I just like I watch, I form my opinion, and then I just blurt it out. I'm one of those. Like, I'm a pretty real person. Like, I know scripts can be beneficial, but I like mine to be more raw. But which is why you'll hear the occasional pauses and stuff. But anyway, like, first of all, the $60 price point, even with some of the issues that it has, some of which I agree shouldn't have been there. Like, I think there's that one picture in Vice City where it had like a wall with someone's character model on it. So, like, that's one of those things. Yeah, so, like, I do agree. There are some instances where, like, yes, this stuff shouldn't be here. Like, why the hell and for some of those instances, I do agree. Like, Rockstar, what the actual fuck? Why did you let this get out? Because I know that they had to have done some level of testing, because they should. So, it's one of those things for me where it's like, okay, stuff like that I get. But then, like, comparing the graphics, no, I don't get it. And considering I think you're older than me, Legacy. I don't know about how much, but I'm pretty sure you're older than me. I'm 22. Am at the moment of this video. And I played the original San Andreas. Used to play the shit out of it when I was a kid. Back on the old PS2. God damn it. Hold on, I'm trying to spawn in a hydrant. There we go. Alright, there we go. Now it's working. For some reason, it wouldn't let me spawn one in, but we got there in the end, boys. But like, like, first of all, the definitive edition might be $60, but that's because each of the individual games are $20 a piece. Because the definitive edition comes with, San Andreas, Vice City, and 3 all remastered. That's basically $20 if you do the math for a single game remastered. And first of all, like, I don't know about the average person, because I feel like some people use remake and remaster kind of interchangeably.
This is a 50-50 though.
Yeah, this is kind of more of a 50-50 in a sense, because like me and Squid over here both agree. We both agree that a remaster is basically you are building the game and adding better graphics to it, and that's all you're doing. That's the only thing you touch is the graphics. Everything else remains the same. And then a remake, you actually, like, rebuild it. Like, you add different mechanics or improve mechanics or whatever. This game, like he said, I believe is more of a 50-50 because it is mostly a remaster, but then they added, like, some stuff like the weapon wheel and, like, the radio wheel instead of just scrolling through.
Which I have something to say about that when you're done.
Go on, because, go on.
Okay, so the weapon wheel. Most people are ripping on it, basically saying, oh, we want a GTA 5, but on a parallel universe, they did do the weapon wheel in GTA 5, and I'm pretty sure you guys got mad at that too, because 80%, maybe 90% of the populace who bought the GTA Trilogy are doing it for nostalgia. The other 10% are doing it just to check it out, But for those of you for the 90%, you want that, they updated it to where you could obviously do the whole GTA 5 thing, with the weapon wheel, the radio wheel, and stuff like that. Because there have been many times back in the day, where I played it and I was getting ready with a mission, and there was a time thing where the guy was going to show up and I was going to get ready to shoot him and I was in position. I was trying to swap to a sniper to take him out. I'd miss it, and then I wind up losing 50% of my armor. And if I wasn't, and if I was any worse of a player, that 50% of armor could mean a life or death, especially to people who are just getting into it, So I think the weapon wheel is a good addition. The aiming's a good addition, stuff like that. And the reason I believe it's better than the GTA 5 thing is because we want that nostalgic feel, but we also want something new to blend in with that nostalgic feel. If they went full GTA 5 with it, it would just be GTA. It would just be a GTA, 5, but in Vice City, or GTA 5, but in Liberty City. Which, to an extent, I could see why we want that, but no. Those 90% of us, I would hope, would want the nostalgic feel, with a refined aiming system. I would hope.
Basically just quality of life improvements, and that's it.
Yeah,
Is what
yeah,
he's
yeah,
saying. That's it.
exactly. Exactly. And people out there are just they're ripping on it, they're ripping on everything. And it's like like I said, in a parallel universe, they did do the GTA 5 controls and I'm pretty sure everybody would go apeshit about that because it's like, no, we want the classic and shit like that. So it's like, make up your mind. People bitch about everything. Pardon my French. People complain about everything, and it's I don't know why. I mean, I get it. It's life, but it's like either take it or leave it. And those of you who do have YouTube accounts, I mean, if you're buying it to, give your opinion so other people can form their own opinions off of yours, and get the full story, I get it. But those of you out there who don't have a YouTube account, who don't do it and buy it at full price, $60, and then complain about it, you are shooting yourself and your entire argument in the foot, my guy. And it is invalid at that moment. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say, considering that and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure Alien has some more points he wants to
Yeah.
make, obviously. But that's pretty much all I have to say. I do have one more thing to say though, about the faces and stuff like that. Um, which actually, you know what? I'll let Alien say that because this he did bring it up first. I'll let Alien say it. You can go ahead and say it.
Well, I mean, since you were talking about the faces, but before I get into that, like the weapon wheel and stuff like that, that you have, is a quality of life improvement because I mean I'm sure a lot of us classic San Andreas players and Vice City and 3, how many times have you tried to get to a weapon just like what Squid said here, and you end up passing it on accident? Like seriously, like how many times does that happen? I guarantee you a lot of you can immediately have like PTSD where I triggered it just by mentioning it, where you're like, oh god, that fucking and then you start remembering a time where it killed you and it was in a critical moment. I guarantee you every single one of you have at least one moment like that.
Yeah,
like
especially
like
with checkpoints and shit back then.
oh yeah, oh god forbid the fucking checkpoint
Yeah,
system.
God, I know, right?
So it's one of those things where it's like the only thing that they really did aside from give it better graphics, which we'll talk about later, is really just quality and life improvements, like again the weapon wheel and the radio wheel, and maybe change the aiming system a little bit. But for the most part they kind of left it alone, which that's what a remaster is. This isn't a remake like Resident Evil 3 where it's completely fucking different from the original. Like they rebuilt it and they wanted to do something new. This, like, by virtue of it saying remaster, what you're getting into. It is going to be largely the same. You buy it because you love it. You buy it because you have the memories. You buy it for that's it. Unless you're a newbie who, is like 15 years old right now or some shit, and you never got the chance to play it, and you heard all these old other GTA fans, saying how amazing it is, and you decided to give it a go. That other than that, like Squid said earlier, you are large majority of the people that have this game are like me. They're nostalgic. They want to revisit it because of all the memories and shit, and they want to do it with slightly better graphics. Just the same fucking reason people bought the Master Chief Collection. You wanted that shit because you wanted to revisit a game you loved dearly. You wanted to see it with better graphics. But the thing with the Master Chief Collection is, and why they did it correctly, is that they gave you the option. Like they gave you the option, especially like with Halo 2, where not only do you have the option to do the classic graphics, or you could, very much do the new anniversary graphics, which are fucking fantastic. But but as a Halo fan, because I grew up with Halo on the original Xbox, as a fan, as amazing as those anniversary graphics are, there's going to be a time, just like with any other remaster, where you're going to want to revisit the classics because that's where your nostalgia came from. That's the reason you bought the remaster. And if they forced you to stick with the remaster graphics, like, that's going to suck because eventually you're going to want that true classic feel. And that's kind of my personal opinion of San Andreas. Like, unless they're willing to do the fucking Master Chief Collection route where they give you completely two different sets of graphics you can interchange at any time, they have to find the middle ground. Like, like I'm sick and tired of hearing modders, you know, like talking about like, oh, like again, Legacy Killer, oh, like the definitive edition should have been comparable to GTA San Andreas, the original one with mods. No, it's fucking not. The modders took it upon themselves to make it better. They got ideas, they used their creativity, and then they made something out of it. No, that's not Rockstar at that point. That's an asinine argument in my opinion. Like, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but by virtue of modding it and adding all these graphic textures and stuff, because like Legacy Killer has like screenshots and stuff, like comparing the definitive versus the modded out classic, and I get what you're saying. You want it to look better, and I get that. Like everyone wants, one of their favorite games to look better, but it's one of those things where it's like there is a balance, like literally everything in life, where between it looking better and it being classic. I mean, I don't understand why people, because it seems like everyone's wanting it to look better than what it should be. Like, I don't want it to look that good because it's not going to be classic anymore. I mean, the gameplay might be, but part of what made the game so amazing is not only the gameplay, but the looks throughout the game. Like, especially since, again, like Squid said at the time when the original game was out, that was peak graphics. So you, considering our litmus test back in the day, because we've made such advances since then, our litmus test for what looked good looked very low, but still it looked amazing back in the day in comparison to the other crap that was out,
Yeah.
and that was part of it, was to have that awe feeling, like everything looked good, it felt good, it looked good, and now it's one of those things where that graphic style is a part of what's made San Andreas great, and trying to completely change it, I think, is a bit ridiculous. Like, again, unless you're going to go the Master Chief route and give us options, and any of you that have Master Chief Collection, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about graphic options.
Yeah.
Like,
That'd be a different story.
Yeah, that would be a different story. I would love that, actually. I would 100% love to see, San Andreas look like Grand Theft Auto 5, and then with a single button have it instantaneously switch to the classic graphics and see the difference. That was one of the reasons why I loved playing MCC, and why I think it's worth every penny, is because not only do you get the true nostalgic feel of like Combat Evolved in Halo 2, but at a push of a button, you can see the difference in the skyboxes, the weapon designs, even, the armor, like everything, and it looks
gun sound,
great.
yeah,
the
everything.
gun sounds, even, and you have two completely different games, damn near, because of how different the graphics and the sound effects are, and it's like having two completely different games, damn near.
Oh yeah.
But again, unless Rockstar or Grove Street Games was willing to do that, and take the time to basically build two different games, damn near, like no, they have to find that balance. Like, you want it to look better, but you want it to be classic, as it should be, considering it's called a remaster for a reason. Like, I personally think that, again, because it shouldn't be comparable to modern, like the modded GTA San Andreas. That's a bit ridiculous. Or the modded GTA 3 or what. That's ridiculous. That's why it's called a mod. That is fans modifying it because they had an idea. And same thing with mods, just like with the MCC. All you got to do is remove the modded file and you are immediately back to classic. You have the option, but it is still the original game. All you have to do is remove a file. It's the same basic principle, just a little bit more complicated because it's a bit different. Well, yeah, I don't think I need to explain that. So I think it's a bit ridiculous how it's like obviously Rockstar wasn't going to give you that option, so they needed to find a middle ground, and I think they did it. Like, I mean, we're flying around, Los Venturas right now, and we, flown around Los Santos a bit, and even a tad bit of San Fierro, which I'm flying towards now, and like you can tell. Like, you can fucking tell that it looks very classic, but the texture, like, remember back in the, like, I'm flying low for a reason. Like, you see the street down here? The graphics back in the day, it would be a mudded texture with a fucking bright yellow line. It would look garbage. This actually looks like it's fucking concrete or asphalt or whatever. Like, that actually has texture. You can fucking see the texture there. Like, it is literally a classic. I just hit an invisible wall. Alright, cool. Alright, that's cool. But anyway, you know, you could literally see the classic graphics just with improved textures, and that's what it should be. That's what the whole definition of a remaster is. Like, I honestly think that you guys are a bit. I think you guys have let all the mods go to your guys' head, and you expect something that you shouldn't expect. Like, that's a bit ridiculous. Like, I mean, if we were talking about a GTA 5 remaster, considering it's a modern game and it's more acceptable to upscale it, then okay, fair enough. Completely fair enough. Absolutely. Completely down for that. But considering how old this game is and you're trying to remaster it, which means you want the classic feel, that means you need to keep the graphics intact and the gameplay. And like I think they did a really great job balancing quality of life improvements with the gameplay that's not overly invasive, and improving the textures of the graphics while keeping the same graphic style. It looks great. And considering I'm flying in a Hydra, I think this is very prudent. You guys remember back in the day flying the Hydra? You're flying around, you know, the San Andreas map, right? And you remember how shitty the draw distance was back in the fucking day? Where you couldn't see more than, like, what, maybe 10 feet ahead of you or some shit because of the render distance? You know how many fucking times you would fucking fly around, if you were like me, because I was a little kid back then. You remember, like, I don't know if anyone else did this. I know I did it, and I know Squid did it. But, like, did any of you other people watching this, did any of you, when you got closer to the ending of the game, or if you just decided you wanted to just dick around one day and you did what I'm doing and spawned in a Hydra just for shits and giggles, which for some
Obviously,
reason
it has a wanted level right now, 4-star.
Well, actually, no, I died. That's why I said it hit an invisible wall. Wait, no, actually, no, that was a little bit ago. I actually died a second time, but
still.
Yeah. Oh, whoops, I'm really bad at the jet sometimes. I keep thinking that I'm in hover mode. As I remember back in no, because in the original game, like whenever you spawned in a jet, if I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, it's been years, but I'm pretty sure that whenever you spawned in a Hydra, it would default to hover mode, but in this game it doesn't. It's whatever you were on last. So it's confusing me.
Really?
Yeah.
No, because I remember back in the day, I would always spawn in it, and it would always spawn in hover mode, which you could fly up, and then you change it, then you fly away. So so you die in flying mode, you spawn it in, and it spawns in flying mode?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah, and
Jesus criminy.
Yeah. But yeah, in all seriousness, that's really unfair for you guys to want it to be better than it should be. Like, I understand wanting, a game that you love to look better, because of your nostalgia and everything. I'm all on board for that, but like I said, I think there's a balance. I think there's a thing called too much, but there's also a thing called too little. And again, like, aside from maybe the occasional bug, San Andreas specifically, like again, back to what I was saying before, like again, whether it be because you completed the game or because you just had one of those days where you were still going through the story but you wanted to dick around and do what I'm doing and spawn in a Hydra. Again, back in the day with the really low render distance, how many of you, because like we said, me and Squid have admitted to doing this, how many of you used to fly upside down like I'm doing now just for shits and fucking giggles, just to try to improve your piloting skills, just because you can, or whatever, and then you'd be doing it for ages, maybe 10 minutes or so, you'd be doing great, and then all of a sudden you would explode, and there would be nothing in front of you, and then a tree popped up. I know for a fact a good amount of you have probably had that happen. I assume there's got to be some of you that have had this exact thing happen. So like, that's kind of my thing to you, is like, what if that did happen? Oh, there's a dolphin. Hello. So, but
yeah,
because that used to happen to me all the time, and it pissed me off. You don't do that.
Same here.
You don't do that anymore. The render distance is literally the whole map. You fly up, you can see the whole map. You can see the trees, everything spawned in. It looks great. You get an amazing view compared to back in the day. Like, seriously. Like, not to say that that there isn't like the occasional bug, and not to say that it couldn't be improved, because I assume there's got to be a way that you can improve it more while still having the classic feel. But I think they did a good job for what their goal was. Their goal wasn't to make it like a remastered, modded San Andreas. Their goal was to remaster San Andreas. And I think you guys are getting a little bit butthurt unnecessarily. I think it's great. And also, I know I went on a massive tangent because, again, I genuinely can't fathom how, you guys who are, like, older than me, because I assume Legacy Killer, you're older than me, and I assume there's a lot of other people complaining about it that are older than me. Like, I don't understand how, like, you could grow up in that era like I did, except you were a bit older, obviously, and still think that it's okay to want it to be better and have these higher expectations than you really should. Like I said earlier, like, I am all for high expectations. I'm all for cussing out a developer when it's well deserved, because again, that's how you get innovation, is when you stand up when they're doing something stupid or they're feature stripping or whatever. Like, I'm all for that, but again, this isn't that. This is a remaster with a couple quality of life improvements. That's what the goal was, and that's what they achieved. Like, so you're complaining because you wanted it to be better than what the goal was. Like,
which even if it was, you'd still complain.
Well, even then, my argument is like, well, it's a game developer's, mission to have a goal and to make that game as close to the goal as possible. So if we're going to start adding our own personal opinions into this and saying it should have had this, it should have had that, well, then any game is a piece of shit at that point, because you're giving yourself an unfair litmus test. Like, it's like with Destiny. Like, I gave Destiny a lot of shit because there was a lot of things that they promised that they didn't deliver. Like, I had a reason to complain and talk shit. San Andreas, I don't. They had a specific goal and they met it. I knew what I was buying, and it's exactly what I thought I was buying. And I'm happy with that. Like, there's no reason for me to complain. I don't get why you guys are complaining. There's no reason to complain. Like, it looks great. It's new yet classic. Quality of life improvements. The fact that there's no fucking render distance anymore. Everything, for the most part, is rendered perfectly, aside from that tiny little pop-in that happened for a half second just now. But that was way, way off in the distance rather than right in front of my face and only after I died. So,
which is normal. Why would you want GTA 5 and older games like that? If especially since 90% of us are coming back for the nostalgia feel, you want that nostalgia refined feel, which, believe me, I tell you, is honestly probably way better for the 90% of us than coming back to GTA 5 Vice City. The rose tinted glasses will start to fog up at that point.
Right.
But
yeah.
We knew what we were buying, and in my personal opinion, I actually like it. I love it, but if you're there to meme on it, go ahead. If you're there to like it, go ahead. It's a free country. These are just our opinions. But if you have a YouTube channel and you're doing it to meme on it or give your own opinion, do that. But like I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a YouTube channel and you buy it at full price and then you wind up bitching at it, just stop it. Get some help. Like, seriously.
Yeah, but another thing I wanted to mention, because like I said, I went on a massive tangent about the graphics and stuff. Like, something that Squid mentioned earlier was, like, some of the faces. Like I've seen Denise's face, and I do understand why, because I know there's probably a good amount of you that actually kind of enjoyed the girlfriend mechanic. I myself wish that they still had that in GTA 5. Like, I missed that in this game. And while that being said, I understand how it's one of those things where it's like, wow, it looks so much shit comparison to the main cast. But first of all, from my understanding, again, don't quote me on this because it's been a hot minute, but how many other GTAs had a very similar thing where, aside from the main characters, that were very prominent. A lot of the side characters or even the NPCs down the street look like fucking garbage. Like, do you want like I mean, you know how much effort and resources it takes to fucking do that shit?
Same thing happened with
You,
Vice City and everything.
yeah. So, you know, and it's one of those things where it's like I get it. I get because I like the mechanic too, and I completely understand why people are getting butthurt over that. I do. I like,
Especially with realism
you know,
and wanting to role play.
and wanting to roleplay. Yeah, like I completely understand it. I really do. I actually think that's a genuine criticism. However, I have to make I have to concede that it's completely different to make sure a girlfriend that you spend all of 5 minutes with to pick her up, take her to a bar or Cluckenbell or a dance club, have a little tiny ass cutscene, you know, with maybe some nice music, maybe like a shitty sex scene where all you hear is moaning, and that takes all of 5 minutes to do, and then you don't even have to fuck with her again until she calls you, or like after a couple missions. Like,
Yeah.
like compare, and then and some of the missions can be like 10 minutes or so, like the Mad
Yeah.
Dog's Mansion. You know how long it takes to stealth that shit properly?
Yeah.
You know what I
Or
mean?
or if you want upgrades from the girlfriends,
Or
which
if you want upgrades for their girlfriends, and
like
then
you can drive the
yeah.
car, or you get certain outfits, like one girlfriend police outfit, Denise pimp outfit, which can be very cool. But again, still, so the only argument I could see would be what Aileen mentioned earlier, realism. You
Yeah,
know?
realism and role play,
Yeah.
but again, I like if they had like again, you know, like if they did have to sacrifice some aspects of the graphics, I would rather them sacrifice the girlfriends rather than everything else, because the girlfriends are kind of
Optional.
are optional. Like aside from role playing or genuinely liking those characters and just wanting to get to know them better, like but even then, like I
Yeah.
said, you spend like what 5 minutes at a time with them, like every other mission or so, and
Or Denise being scripted optional.
or scripted optional. Yeah, like she's scripted at first, but then after that you can get rid of her. Um, like you know what I mean. But so it's one of those things where it's like, again, I do understand it, but it's one of those things where it's like it's such a small thing where like I think that is one of the few things where I'd be okay with them slacking off of during the development, releasing it and then patching it later. Because again, aside from that 5 minutes here or there every other mission or so, you're never gonna fucking hang out with them.
Yeah.
Like seriously, when are you ever gonna fucking hang out with them? Like again, aside from the role play, or you want some of the upgrades, or because you know you genuinely like them as a character for whatever reason, like you know, and more power to you because I actually liked some of the girlfriends back in the day. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah.
I mean seriously, like if it was Big Smoke or CJ or Sweet and they looked that bad, I would be right there with you. I would lose my fucking shit. Cause why? They're the main cast. You see them relatively throughout the game, and they're such cool characters because obviously of what their relation is to CJ, right? They're the main dude we play. But but you're complaining over a girlfriend, which to an extent I agree with. Keyword to an extent, but again, considering you never hang out with them for all of, except for more than 5 minutes, then you know here or there. There's such a small, and I mean a small part of the game to the point where like that's a forgivable offense. It's not like the Maze Bank you know tower right here because I assume this is Maze Bank because it's very similar, you know, looking to the Maze Bank in
Yeah, this
GTA
is the big
5.
tall one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like if this looked like a muddy piece of shit, then that would be a bit different because that's very prominent. You're gonna fucking see that as long anywhere you look up in the city, and that's just a stain that you constantly have to see.
Yeah.
That's a bit different.
Yeah. I do have one thing to say though. The Vice City welcome thing, which was patched in the day one patch. That I actually find that really wholesome because of for one thing, humanity. I mean, the same thing possibly could be said for the girlfriend thing, but I highly doubt it's that. I think it's more of the thing of well, we wanted the main cast like they did back in the day. Everybody looked like shit except for the main cast. Smoke, Sweet, Cesar, CJ, his sister and shit like that. Catalina, all that shit. The main cast. and nobody complained. But just because this is a new 50/50 remaster remake R&R, just because they're doing the same thing as they did back then, you guys are complaining? Like what? Just like you expected it to, like everything to be normal? No, they do this with every GTA 5 game. 5 being possibly the exception because the NPCs
Every
do look.
GTA 5 game.
Yeah, they do kind of look good in GTA. No, well, I mean every GTA 5. Yeah, every GTA game, every in GTA 5, um, the NPCs do look worse than the main cast, but they look worse like 10% worse because again it's GTA 5. I mean look how good that shit is. Again pardon the French, but still that's my point. Is they do this with every game, but when it comes to when it comes to the 50 R&R, the 50/50 R&R with the trilogy, oh hell's got to be broken loose. It, Come on now. Like I swear everybody complains about everything.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I agree because it's like in every GTA game, like if you try to have like a perfect textured graphics, which considering the leaps in technology we made since San Andreas, like the classic, I'm sure that's actually doable considering how small this map is and how you don't really need to render in people unless they're within like I don't know like 100 feet of you or whatever the fuck. So I can understand how like that would be one thing. Like that would be something that you could consider like is a doable thing because of how different the scale of San Andreas is versus 5, like not just graphics wise but the actual size of the map, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to a slight extent I can understand how they're like, well, we have the technology to do it. I mean, look at 5, like we could do it and do it better. Okay, fine, fair enough, but just because we can, that doesn't mean we should. Like that's such a waste of time considering right now I can't see a single fucking person. I can see maybe a few cars, but I can't see because of how high I am. But I can't see a single person, and especially when you get later in the game, when you like get your freaking hangar that's over there in the distance that I'm flying towards now, and you get like
The
your
one
own
in the desert.
Hydra. Yeah, yeah, the one in the desert, and you get your own
Yeah.
Hydra and shit. Like you're gonna fly everywhere. You're not really like when if like you know what I mean. Like that's such a small thing to overlook that is honestly accepted. Like now that I'm flying lower, there's a bunch of fucking cars that are rendering. Okay, now they've just despawned all of a sudden. What the fuck? Maybe it's one of those things where it's like they just have it there for show, but when you get closer, they're not actually there. Because I know that there is a slight render thing, but mostly for smaller stuff. So like I don't know, like, but still, it's a pretty small thing. The girlfriend thing, in my opinion, is a small thing. Um, the quality of the NPCs, like when you walk down the street and stuff, I think is a small thing because when are you ever gonna focus on that shit?
Yep.
Like I think it's small enough to where like okay, if you have an issue with it, I understand, fair enough. Especially considering how old this game is, and it'd be easy to fix that stuff with our modern technology. But again, it's one of those things where it's like just because we can doesn't necessarily mean it's worth it.
Especially considering the nostalgic shit. I mean, come on, 90% of us are coming back for that nostalgia. We're not coming back for, like I said earlier, GTA Vice City, or I mean GTA 5 Vice City or GTA 5 3. We're not coming back for this. We're coming back for for a refined nostalgic experience. Well, at least 90% of us. Maybe 80%, maybe, but I'm willing to say 90.
Yeah,
I mean that I mean that pretty much covers it. It's just annoying when people do this because like all throughout history, everybody complains about everything. And like I know parallel universe and stuff like that, but I'm willing to bet that like if the roles were reversed and they did this, you guys would find another reason to complain and this and that. But you know what? It's humanity. I'm not judging because I've been there. All I'm saying is enjoy it or hate it. It's a free country. But don't don't like don't especially if you don't have a YouTube account, don't buy it and then wind up bitching about it because again you wind up shooting your argument in the foot. If you're a YouTuber, different story because you're getting your opinion out there, and people like opinions. People, especially if they look up to you, people love hearing other people's opinions. Me personally, I love, hearing other people's opinions, especially in debates, because 9 out of 10, you always wind up learning something, and if you learn something, you could formulate your own opinion off their opinion, using it as a template, you know. I mean, I know most of the world doesn't like, well, in their words, it'd possibly be arguments. I like to call them debates, because I'm always up for learning something new. Because nobody knows everything. So, but again, that's just me. Um, and obviously Alien, but yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say. Do you have anything you want to add, Alien?
Um,
Is
um,
there anything else we forgot to add that we talked about before starting on this up?
no, I think for the most part we covered it because it's obviously not worth bringing up some of the minor stuff like the Welcome to Vice City thing. That's just human error, nothing to worry about. It doesn't break the
Yeah.
game. That's more of a petty thing. I think for
Plus, day one patched,
and
and
and day
humanity is good.
and day one patch, yeah. Um, I think we covered a lot of the main stuff. Because again, aside from like a bug here or there, which honestly, again, like again, I do agree with being vocal, and and if you guys genuinely think these bugs and stuff are unacceptable, fine, fair enough. I but I also guys want you to consider that like
Everything's
for
gonna have
whatever
bugs.
well that too, but no, I was gonna say like for whatever reason Rockstar decided to give San Andreas to Grove Street Games, which is more of a mobile developer, considering what they did on the mobile versions, and the mobile versions aren't
The
that
10th
bad.
anniversary edition, yeah.
Yeah, and while like you can kind of understand that decision, but I think we can all agree that a console version, especially with the adding better graphics, is a bit more than just porting everything exactly as it is and then changing the interface to accommodate for mobile. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like Grove Street Games had to actually had to work this time.
Yeah, yeah, you
you
guys are
know,
lucky. They could have just ported over the 10th anniversary edition of Vice City 3 and San Andreas and made it and ported over to console. You guys are lucky. Now, if they did that, then you'd actually have something to bitch about. I mean, come on now.
yeah,
But I actually like the 10th anniversary then, because especially with mobile, it was pretty good.
yeah.
This is a different story.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like they tried to take the classic games and add better graphics to them reasonably, which again I think they did it correct, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I do think they handled it correctly, where they got a balance of new and old, where it's like an improved textured version of the classics, which I think is what it should be, and quality of life improvements from the like weapon wheel and stuff, like little things to avoid some of the annoyances from the classics, like when you're scrolling through your weapons. So like I don't think it's that bad. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think
Neither do I.
yeah, like I think they did I think they did a great job. Oh, I just hit an invisible wall apparently. Okay, cool. But I you know, but yeah, I think that covers it because like we addressed the graphics issue, we addressed the girlfriend issue, the quality of life stuff, that's not overly invasive. I think we covered it. I don't think unless there's something we missed, which I don't think we did. I think that's about it.
But if you guys obviously have anything to add, please feel free to comment down below.
Yeah, please feel free to comment, but like I hope you guys understand where we're coming from. Like it is genuinely a bit unfair to like have to make the definitive edition comparable to the modded version of the original San Andreas, because like I said, like especially now because of the backlash, they're adding the old San Andreas on PC um back to the Rockstar launcher and stuff like that, along with 3 and Vice City because of the backlash. You guys are going to have access to the modded versions anyway. Like your guys are going to be able to add all of that crazy lighting effects and all that jazz. And it's one of those things where it's like the modded version of that game is always going to be there. Like you can always mod, like even now there's modders working to fix some of the bugs and stuff on the definitive edition. Like you're always gonna have modders doing all the crazy shit to add new shit and to improve it or add something like a better lighting system or whatever the hell. You're always gonna have that.
Yeah.
Like modders are a great tool, and honestly, like if games were too perfect, we wouldn't have any need for modders, and then you guys would be out of a job. So just keep
Yeah. But
you know
there's
what I
always gonna
mean.
be imperfections.
But
I do want to add
yeah.
the one thing when you're done.
Well, I was basically done. It was just like I think I was just saying that because you have the old classic games and you have the original classic and then you have the modded classic. I think it's okay to have like a standard definitive and then a modded definitive. That's kind of my point. Like I'm kind of curious
Yeah.
to see what kind of cool shit they could do with the modded definitive. But I think if we're gonna compare it to the classic San Andreas, which again we should because the a modded is different than the classic because Rockstar made the classic and they're trying to remaster the classic, not the modded classic. Like keep that in mind. Like when you start trashing this game, is like their goal is completely different than what you want it to be. So keep that in mind.
Like everything
So
in life.
yeah, so
Um, yeah. Anyway, what I wanted to add was yeah, I'm assuming you finished. What I wanted to add was there's a mission in VC that winds up being a sort of drug deal mission or whatever, where Visetti winds up pulling up on a car or whatever, and the guy pulls up to you and basically like he's like, "Hey, I got what you want," and then all of a sudden Visetti gives him the money, and then the guy runs away and it's saying like, "Ha ha, sucker," and there's a meme saying, "Oh, that's basically what Rockstar did to us." It's like saying, "Hey, I got what you want," holding out the trilogy and stuff like that. Then they wind up taking your money and then like running away and be like, "Ha ha, sucker." And it's like, I do find it funny because I do have a sense of humor. I am not all dark inside. I do have some heart. I do have some heart left. Um, uh, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's good to laugh at that, but it's one of those things where it's like, why? Just why? What? Why? I know we're bitching too. I know, but there's always gonna be bitching. There's always gonna be flaws. There's always gonna be quality of life. This, that. So, in my personal opinion, and professional psychological opinion, enjoy it or hate it. It's your call. Do what you want. And even if you don't have a YouTube account and you want to buy it and you want to rip on it and you're that type of person, go ahead. I mean, life's too short to do stuff otherwise. I mean, as long as you're happy, that's all that should matter. Just don't ruin other people's experiences or days. I mean, if you're a YouTuber making videos out there, obviously, give your opinion and stuff like that, but I do believe people are free to try and do stuff like that, obviously, which is the whole Game Pass situation where you have San Andreas on there. In my opinion, I I was kind of hoping it would be all three of them, so that way they could try it before they buy. But I do understand them not adding, BC and 3 because because San Andreas, obviously we're all coming back to the trilogy for San Andreas. Let's be honest here. And the second one we'd be coming back for would be Vice City, and maybe the third one would be 3, but mainly it's SA. So that's why they added it to Xbox Game Pass, which you get to try it out and stuff like that if you do have a subscription and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, we just bought it. We were discussing about it, and obviously we did watch videos on it and stuff like that, but we knew what we were getting into. But we bought it for the nostalgia, the refined thing, and in my personal opinion, I like it. I like how they did the refined controlling. It's not too much into GTA 5 category. It's not too little. It's good enough to where you could find your favorite radio station without swapping. Like for example, in Vice City, mine is Flash FM. There'd be so many times I'd be driving, I'd be in a good mood, and then bam, there'd be a good song on Flash FM, and then I'd wind up passing it, and I'd miss like the first 10, 20 seconds of that song just because I passed it. That's my thing. Same thing with the weapon thing I mentioned earlier.
oh yeah,
Um,
oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to mention. I'm sure that's pretty much all Alien wanted to mention. If anybody watches this, and obviously if you guys have your own personal opinions or stuff like that, please leave a comment down below because we would love to hear feedback. Like I said, to us, feedback is always appreciated. We are not the type of people who, don't like arguments, as other people call them. We love debates and we love hearing other people's opinions and stuff like that. So please feel free to comment down below. Um, and yeah, and generally, I hope you guys just enjoy this and understand where we're coming from, obviously, before you smash that dislike button. Anything you want to say?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, like I said, we covered the major things because the petty stuff isn't really worth bringing up because obviously it's like petty, like.
We kind of already did anyway.
I mean, we did kind of bring up the petty stuff, like the Denise thing. I think
Yeah,
is a
just
bit
enough.
petty because of again, you never really see her at all except for all 5 minutes, like every other mission or so. So it's kind of like such a small thing where it's like, I get it, I do because I like the girlfriend mechanic. I do wish that they would have improved their character model a little bit, but again,
Yeah.
she is so far from a main character to the point where I don't think she does deserve the same treatment as like CJ and
Yeah.
Sweet and Big Smoke and Tenpenny and
And back then
Hernandez.
they were trying something different with the whole realism and girlfriend situation. So
Yeah,
you guys got to understand that they were trying something different with the realism mechanic. Otherwise, you would see that in Vice City and stuff like that. But CJ, I know you weren't finished with the thing, but CJ, they did so much back then. Like again, if you improve his driving stat, um, like CJ no longer has to look behind him when he's backing up. He looks in the rearview mirror, you know. Which I don't know if anybody knows that, but I actually personally like that.
yeah,
Yeah, go on though. You were pretty much finishing up, obviously, so you could
yeah,
end it.
yeah. I mean, that was pretty much it. Just like we covered the major stuff, even some of the small stuff like the billboard and the Denise thing, which like you said, I think is a bit petty. I
Yeah,
understand it,
day one
and
patch.
that's a genuine criticism, but it's petty enough to where it's like that. If as long as they patch it, who gives a fuck, kind of a thing.
But yeah,
Like I try not to adopt that mindset when it comes to games where like, oh, just release it and patch it later. Like I very much take the Angry Joe stance in that sense, where like, no, don't do that. But like that's especially when it comes to games that are monetized, like Madden Ultimate Team and all that kind of shit.
yeah,
Like, no, fuck that. But again, considering this is a classic nostalgic game, and the fact that like, again, the circumstances of what Denise is and how rare you're with her, it is one of those things where I can understand from the gamer perspective why they would want that to be improved, but then I understand from the developer side where it's like, well, really? Like, do we really want to put in this much effort for a scene that we're only going to be able to see for all of 5 minutes every, what, hour? So like every
yeah,
hour you get 5 minutes with her, Like, do we really want to develop that much compared to Big Smoke and all of them, and then the actual map detail itself? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where like you can see both sides, and because I get both sides, I am very much neutral. Like I get it. So that's why I think it's a bit petty, is because I get both sides and I'm neutral. I do want them to fix it. I do think they need to add better graphics to her, but I am not complaining. I think
yeah.
like I get why they did it, and as long
They
as
did a day one patch with
as
the
long as they
welcome
patch
thing,
it, yeah, as long as they patch it and they give her better graphics at some point, as long as it's in a reasonable time period, then okay,
along
fine.
with all the other things they messed
Along
up.
with all some of the
Yeah,
other stuff that they messed up, yeah, but but I
that's
think
that's yeah,
but I think instead of looking at the definitive edition as like a big giant package at $60 and grading it as if it's $60, I think you need to look at each game individually and then keep in mind it's $20 and look at what they did with that $20 increase. Well, actually no, so I think like what the classic San Andreas and Vice City and stuff full price is like what, $10. So really a $10. So really what you need to think of is like they added an extra $10 in the price to do all of this, like the better graphics and the
yeah.
textures, and
20,
which
20, 20.
you know what I mean. Like I think that's, again, I think people are looking at it as if it's one solid game at $60 versus 3 games at $20. That really only have like what a roughly $10-15 price jump for the improved graphics and textures and quality of life stuff, which is again what you should do in a remaster. You know what I mean? Like, again,
Yeah,
again, personal opinion. Like,
yeah.
I think you guys
They
are being a
did.
little bit too hard on it.
Yeah. Um, They did patch some stuff, like I said, in the day one patch. I'm not sure about all the stuff they patched, but I know they did patch the whole welcome thing, and a few other stuff, and I'm sure they are gonna work on other patches and stuff like that. But you gotta understand, it's Rockstar here. It's their whether it be gaming or whatever. It's a business is a business. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say, and that I hope they do wind up patching it, like Alien said, within a reasonable time frame.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all.
Yeah. With all that said, I think we're good. Like we talked about the graphics, we talked about like the quality of life with the gameplay and the wheels. We talked about the Denise thing. We talked about the Vice City thing. Briefly mentioned like some of the glitches, like the whole character model being on a wall in Vice City. Um, so, but yeah. So I think we got it covered. Unless there's something that we missed, because like I said, we just watched 2 videos of Legacy Killer and then just went straight into this. We didn't write a script or anything. This is just
Yeah,
our opinions.
I don't. We don't write scripts. I watched probably a lot more videos containing stuff, but it all boils down to the same basic stuff. Again, we didn't want to make this video long, so we just boiled it.
Well,
Damn, sorry.
It's already an hour long.
Jump scared. No, but yeah, we just wanted to boil it down.
Boil it down, even though we're at an hour long. And like what I think each video of Legacy Killer was like 30 minutes each. Well, actually,
yeah, we
that
wanted.
means that's about right. Actually,
Yeah, we wanted to make it 30 minutes originally when we were discussing this, but yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
we got a little
God.
too into it, and plus I do have a tendency to ramble because like I get into what I'm saying and
Oh yeah,
I end up
like,
reciting it in like 3 different ways. I really do. I don't know why I do that. It's just how my brain is. Probably the ADHD or
Yeah,
something. I don't
same.
know.
Real quick though, there was earlier when we were talking, which we do this to each other like very rarely. But sometimes, either way, it's still annoying. Like sometimes, I'll be talking and you'll wind up interrupting me, and it'll be annoying. But it's very rarely, and vice versa, because again, we're best friends, and obviously we kind of have similar mindsets, stuff like that. So we'll wind up saying something before we forget it, it's very rare. It's still annoying, but it's just very rare. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, but. And with him rambling, I actually think it's a good quality where he winds up saying it in three different phrases, because of most people, if they might not get it the first time, and I actually think it's a good quality. Some of his well, let's just say acquaintances disagree with that, and I remember back in the day he would get. I know I'm kind of rambling too. He'd get bitched out online for it. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think it's good quality. But either way, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna say something, then I'll let you end it. But yeah, I do hope you guys enjoy the video, and if you have any other comments or disagreements, please leave them down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, like we do hope you guys understand where we're coming from, like because we do understand why you guys have the mindsets that you do. Like again, even though we think it's personally a little bit unreasonable, like again wanting this to be comparable to the modded GTA 3 or Vice City or San Andreas, but just because we disagree doesn't mean we don't understand, because it is kind of one of those things where, like, especially if you're one of those gamers where like you played if you ended up playing on, in this case, San Andreas, most of the time, you know what I mean, like that's all you played.
Yeah.
It was
We're the type of people to understand our arguments and points and stuff like that. Like I mentioned earlier with debating and stuff like that. I never call it arguments. I always call it debating, because you could always learn a thing or two. And even if you're not learning a thing or two, it's still nice to be respectful. But I know most of the populace always gets offended, always gets into arguments, and etc. etc. But yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty much it. I know you're
Yeah.
probably flying a jet
Yeah.
around. What are you doing? You flying a jet around?
I'm literally flying
Las
a jet
Venturas?
around. Well, I'm actually heading there now because I died
Which
and I'm
which
almost there.
which islands have you unlocked?
None.
Okay. So you're doing the whole getting. Are you
Yeah,
practicing your skills, getting more Shawana levels,
yeah, and
doing the whole.
dogfighting, yeah,
Nice,
that's what I've
nice,
been
nice.
doing. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love doing that.
It's very fun.
But oh yeah, it is. But yeah, that's pretty much all. And again, if any of you have any comments you'd like to make, agreements, disagreements, points you want to point out that we missed, other points that we didn't miss but you just disagree with or agree with, anything at all, feel free to comment. um, I think they stopped serving it at 12. Yeah, Jesus, unbelievable. Hey,
Yeah,
I think they
yeah,
stopped serving it
I
at 12,
muted.
by the way.
Um, no, I think they do certain things all day. Yeah. I obviously left Squid unmuted in OBS, but I muted myself because family have no respect and they don't ever
Yeah,
knock, or when they do, they don't give you the chance to say come in or hold on. It just instantly and opens the door, blah blah blah, and it's like
yeah,
I am busy doing shit. Like the amount of
yeah.
times mom has done that when I'm in the middle of class. Like
Yeah, I told you this would
it's like
happen.
it's so fucking annoying.
You don't have the headset where you could flip up the
Cause
mic and it mutes
no
automatically. Yeah.
no I don't, because that I have an actual mic stand with like an actual mic, like a
Yeah,
microphone,
no,
not a
I know that.
headset
I know
mic.
that. I
You
thought it
know,
was.
that's
Okay,
why do you
never mind
think
then.
my
Never
audio
mind then.
quality is so good? Is because that's the drawback, is there's no mute button. I have to go to OBS and hit the mute button.
Yeah, with me, my audio quality's it's pretty
Yeah,
good,
your
pretty
audio
decent.
quality is
But
actually pretty decent. Yeah.
well, thank you. Yeah, but I could flip my
Anyway.
mic up and just mute it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Yeah.
yeah, but
Anyway.
let's
Yeah.
go ahead and end this.
Yeah. Like we like, I mean, you don't want to ramble about unnecessary stuff. Like
Yeah.
both of Legacy Killer's videos were about half hour each of all the different bugs, and we kind of took the main ones that we thought were prominent and did it, and I feel like pretty in depth. So I think this is about where it should end. Yeah.
Yeah. One real thing before I forget. Call Me Kevin's video. It wasn't really a critique thing. But he did mention basically the same point I always think, that if you're there to meme on it, or if you're there to hate it or like it or whatever, it's your choice. But his videos are pretty funny. But yeah, that's pretty much all. Again, any points you guys want to add, feel free to. Yeah, go ahead. If you got something else to
Well,
say.
no. I think that's it. Because again, we covered
Oh,
all the major
okay.
stuff
Yeah.
pretty in depth, and all the other stuff is really of a non-issue. So yeah,
Yeah. And
that's about right.
yeah.
All right.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed.
All right. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.